bayan, tayo na humayo, tayo na kumilos para sa demokrasya, para sa kalayaan, para sa revolusyon, para sa isang mahal. The River Pasig pushes sand and silt into the delta to make Manila, a city claimed from the sea, land where once was ocean. One day it will not remain. The sea was not consulted in this agreement, says she made no such promise and knew of no such negotiation. She seeks back the ground gained by foreign bodies, sending floodwaters rising to reclaim it. Excavations in Makati turn up seashells, evidence of her stake in the neighborhood, known as barangay, now gentrified and shady. But we do not forget it was also the name of the rowboats that brought nomadic Malay people to these shores with the stars their only guides. I was Taga-Ilog of the river, you Pampanga of the riverbank. Upon taking leave of Indonesia, we were neighbors met again in the harbor of Manila Bay. By the shade of mangrove trees, we built our homes on stilts, villages called barangays, because we knew without each other we would not stay afloat, would not make it to the nearest shores we dreamt of reaching. But when we fought, it was bloody, as only a war between siblings can be. Even balagtas of your people and mine could not bring us together, could not overcome our desire to divide, instead of unite, me of the river and you of the bank, born of the same soil but cursed with a wandering soul. Our middle ground exists where floodwaters rise to meet sinking shores. One day, this will not remain. Manila, my Manila. Beneath your banyan trees, I have been longing to rest, calling the rest of our family back to your bosom, away from TEDxUoN nato, things not like us. Across this green earth we have spread like wildfire, but we are a people of ocean, fighting our true natures for a shot at survival. We are the contradictions inherent in a mountain range, long ago invaded by tides, the boondocks, what American soldiers heard when we first showed them mountains, bundok, in Pacquiao's sweet countenance and the sting of his fist, immigrant mothers and left behind children with babies and river baskets, only blessings to see them safely to the other side. We bear barangays on our backs and seek out a land, any land, that can support all that weight. Not this feeble island nation of silt ebbing swiftly back to the sea, who said she didn't agree to be used like this. When the traders and conquistadors came, our divided dialects spoke the future for us, foretold mass conversions and migration patterns along the route of Manila Galleon. Imploding Iraq, we are cousins, sons of Shem, condemned by legend to make cadavers of those who look like us, smell like us, make music like us. Sunni and Shia, Tagalog, Ilocano, and all of our dialects, Filipino and Mestizo, carry out our fate as history dictates. These labels lend themselves to unrest till the ends of our days, the face of the enemy still changing, shape-shifting, but somehow I always see them in us. We speak English so well. Military bases blemish our coasts and flatlands. Our mothers and aunties nurse their babies and old folk, while American companies build call centers in our cities. It is our lilting accents answering your 800 numbers and all your questions, but Manila, your voice is muted and there is too much static. Telephone lines are submerged below endless acres of ocean, and there is no satellite strong enough to reach us here in the boondocks. I listen closely, hoping only to hear you breathing, to be assured that for now, you remain. Thank you. My name is Angela Martinez Dy, and as JD said, my name is, I'm a teaching artist, I'm a poet, I'm a student of life, longtime educator, and that was a poem about my family's homeland. Both of my parents are from Manila. It's the capital of the Philippines, not technically the political capital, but it's essentially the capital city of the Philippines. And it's an example of what I've been doing for the past 15 years, which is about making ideas come to reality. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about kind of the process of idea creation from the point of view of a creative writer. I'll bet that most of you at some point have spent some time thinking of good ideas or happened upon them along the way. You thought that maybe they were good or maybe they could work. You may have even taken note of them, but you never actually did anything about it. I don't blame you. We all get distracted from good ideas for many different reasons. Some common ones are that we are too busy or that we don't believe that we have what it takes to turn our ideas into reality. Maybe life just seems to get in the way. But sometimes a good idea sticks, and then you make the choice to make it a part of your life. The idea then becomes the seed for a creative process that results in something valuable, something new. I became a poet as a preteen. As an only child, I had to find ways to keep myself company. So one of the main ways I did so was by reading everything I could get my hands on, and the other was by writing in a journal. Writing in a blank book about things that happened to me and how they made me feel was where I started to first pay attention to the endless river of ideas that fill our thoughts. Because I had written them down, I could read them back to myself and see what kinds of things were taking shape in my mind. When I got a bit older, I learned to rework and revise the ideas until the words said exactly what I wanted them to say. This is a habit of which I never let go, because once upon a time, I decided that it was worthwhile for me to appreciate my ideas. A sentiment was thankfully reinforced by supportive people around me in the years to come. Humans are ideational creatures. Our ideas are what shape our understanding of the world. In response to our embodied reality, we experience feelings, both physical and emotional. But as babies, we cannot express them verbally. When we learn language, we gain an important tool to help us articulate that which we feel. We can now think thoughts. And ideas are what form the structural basis for all the things that we think. They are the atoms of the matter of our thought, the droplets of water that merge to become the streams of consciousness. Over time, as we experience more and intake more information, we develop opinions, assumptions, thought patterns, and knowledge, all of which are motivated by the force of our ideas. But it is only if we take the time to pay attention to our thoughts, our internal conversations with ourselves, that we can get to know the ideas that inform our thinking, so that we can catch a simple good idea when it occurs, notice when the elements of a more complex idea begin to come together, or maybe even stop ourselves from dismissing an idea because we don't think it's valuable enough. An example from my life as a creative writer is when I get the seed of an idea for a poem or an article or a story. It may start with a word or phrase that I read in a book or overhear in a conversation. It may be an image that I glimpse on the street or a news item that I see. Whatever the source, I make sure to take note of it, maybe repeating it back to myself or jotting it down in a notebook. This is what plants the idea and allows it to grow. As I think it over, or even while I'm at rest, it is naturally fed by my experiences and my understanding, so that when I do sit to write, the component parts of the piece are mostly already present somewhere in my mind. And then all that is left to do is shape it and breathe life into it by choosing the best, most appropriate words to bring together and express the ideas that have been forming somewhere beneath the soil. This is one way that a single idea can form the seed of a creative process. Another example, somewhat bigger than a single poem, is when what is brought together by the idea is more than words, but people, vision, and energy. I've been fortunate to participate in the formation of 2 artistic collectives in my lifetime, and I hope that they were not the last. Both times, the people involved decided to create a group or an organization in response to a need that they observed in the community. And we would then start to provide a service that did not yet exist. These ideas were born not as much out of inspiration, but instead out of a perceived need. It was this need, combined with some vision of what could be, that gave us the immense energy and passion needed to take something from a simple idea stage to a reality with widespread impact, completely from scratch, and to persist in spite of the many obstacles that stood in the way. Born in 1997, Isangmahal Arts Collective was the first arts collective that I was a part of, and it became a voice for the millennial Asian American spoken word and poetry movement. A bit later, You Speak Seattle, which is now still going, it was formed in 2002. It's a poetry and spoken word organization for youth, and it's still cultivating Seattle's young minds and providing avenues for their voices to this day. Both groups eventually made strong connections with and contributed to the development of national cultural movements, and in this way, they became part of something bigger than any of us could ever have imagined. At the risk of outing myself as a hippie, I have in the past few years begun a practice of yoga and meditation, which are at the root more alike than they are different. Both disciplines ask you to focus on the breath and to still the mind so that you may observe your thoughts. This is called mindfulness, and its value is recognized by practitioners of traditions as diverse as Buddhist philosophy to Western psychology. Developing a practice of mindfulness allows you to tune into or become aware of your thoughts in a way that is uncommon in this always-on age, when we are encouraged to produce more often than we are encouraged to reflect. It is a powerful practice that enables the everyday realization of ideas while nurturing the deep knowing that we call wisdom. It does not come automatically nor easily, but with time, care, and patience. We call it a practice because we work on it, and we work on it because we and our ideas are worth it. Ideas are valuable, but in a world where most things are measured or valued in material or monetary terms, we are likely told that our ideas, so intangible, so immaterial, are not worth that much. But this is not the case. If you believe that life is valuable, then so too are the ideas that life is based upon. Ideas are like children. They must be given the attention, love, and discipline they need in order for them to properly develop. They can easily be abandoned because they are small at first, and seeing them through to fruition might seem to take too much effort or too much time. But a good idea can become a focal point in our lives, a vehicle for change, a dynamic sculpture that brings meaning and purpose as it is worked on and shaped individually and collectively. Some ideas will be more useful than others. There are countless pages in my notebooks filled with things that didn't go anywhere. That's not a problem. Scientist and peace activist Linus Pauling once said that if we want to have good ideas, we must have many ideas and learn which ones to throw away. So I encourage you, pay attention, develop a practice of mindfulness, take note of your ideas, and learn to recognize their worth. Because a good idea won't ever be able to come to life unless it is first allowed to come to light. Thank you.